Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I have no clue. I've changed one little setting. It wasn't even that big of a setting. But it's telling me it ain't good. So, I don't know why. It's sort of maddening. Let's try. Did I put too many zeros, maybe? So there's a bit rate that you have to run this show in. If you missed the first show, don't worry about it. I deleted it. It's all good. My bit rate is evidently too high, and it's causing an encoding error. And I don't know why, because my computer should not ever be having an encoding error, and I can't figure out what's causing it. And I think I might have just fixed it. We'll keep an eye on it. We'll see how it goes. Welcome again. Welcome to Press Pass Live. I'm your host, the commish, the founder of the OMFL, Nate. OMFL, the world's longest and oldest online CFM, started in 2001, and this is our weekly podcast show, and I'm sorry for the technical difficulties. I was trying to make the quality better, and evidently I was trying to make it look too good because my computer, which can usually handle this, did not like it, and so we may have to drop it even a little bit lower. And we're going to go ahead and just do that now. Let me just do this now. What's up, Big Hurt? I think I'm just going to get through the show. I think I didn't share an agenda with you. I have an agenda. Unless you feel like you can wing it, I'll let you kind of make that call. Yeah, geez, I feel like I'm all flustered. I was ready to go. I had my stuff lined up. I was ready to do this, and my computer pooped the bed tonight, and I don't know why. It is not. It doesn't normally do that. It's usually in pretty good shape. It's a reason that I bought this massive computer to do this. So, cool. Let's talk OMFL. Man, there's a whole bunch of stuff to be talking about here. Hurt, I'll jump in the voice chat. If you feel like you can wing it, we'll try to wing it together. But I can't do like a crazy long show, so you can just kind of keep that in mind. We're just going to look at a couple of games here. Let me open up the OMFL mailbag, which is chock-a-block full of questions. And let's get over here. And man, I'm all over the place. Let's get over here. And let's open up what we've been doing the last couple of, I said the last couple of weeks. We're only in week one, Nate. Come on, get with the picture here. I'm telling you guys, I'm all thrown off now. Let's look at some games from week number one. There's some really good ones here. It's the other problem is you can't schedule. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for league schedule. All right, here we go. Saints sneak away with a trick play. If you didn't watch it, it will be an OMFL classic. Well, jump in there, Big Hurt. I'm just going to cover some games if you want to jump in, and we'll get our feet wet here. LA Rams, I watched this game. I'm actually studying this game, Logan. Not for you. Well, I think I do play you this season, but mainly studying it because I play the Panthers next. They come away with a big victory, 24-20 against Carolina. Detroit hangs with Mr. D Money, 31-21. The Arizona Cardinals smashing the Green Bay Packers, 37-16. Houston and New England. This game scared me because I was like, oh no, we've broken our settings. 53-51. I'm actually going to come back and talk about this one. Kansas City with a 42-32 victory over Bronco, man. Reluctant pancake, whatever you want to call him. I was expecting and still expect the Colts to turn it around this season, but Kansas City is flexing their muscles. Pittsburgh with a big win over Denver, 41-30. Tennessee 42. Mr. Kobe's got that team humming, 42-7 over Tampa Bay. New York Giants 56 points. My goodness, where was the defense? It showed up in my game. Where was it in y'all's game? 56-35 against Denver. Cincinnati Bengals come away with a 2-point victory over Nysinger. He's in the chat right now, 30-28. That would be an instant classic game. Atlanta with a 34-24 victory over the Seattle Seahawks. That was a big, they were up big in that game too. I'm sure Big Hurt will touch on that one. I just seen him pop in the chat. Jacksonville falls to Buffalo, 20-14. Miami with a 20-17 victory over Las Vegas, and Dallas doing what Dallas does, 47-27 over the Chicago Bears. I want to come back over here and talk about this Houston and New England game. I never get to talk about these teams, and man, they had a hell of a barn burner here. 14 points for New England in the first quarter, followed up by a 23-point second quarter from Houston, 15-13 in the third quarter, and then New England pulls away in the fourth, holding Houston to field goals, scoring 2 touchdowns themselves, 14-9, 408 passing yards for the Patriots, only to be outdone by 438 rushing passing yards by the Houston Texans, 208 rushing yards to 136 rushing yards. My goodness, no one wanted to stop anyone. Look at the total yards gained, 843 to 616. Holy cow, that's going to take me 6 weeks to get to. There was only one turnover in this game. This is not the kind of game, the prototypical game we hope to have with our sliders. But sometimes week one is always a little weird, always a little wonky. I felt like that in first season. We kind of found our stride later on as we kept going. 19 minutes to 16 minutes for the Houston Texans. Both of these quarterbacks outstanding. Rusty Starr, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Shroud, 6 touchdowns, 1 interception. He had a long of 91. Mr. Roger loves to air it out. Gibson for the Patriots, 11 rushes, 101 yards. Houston, Mixon, 12 for 94. They had one guy in here, Pierce, 1 for 48. Guys just gashing big runs. DeMarco, 7 for 280. Richard, 6 for 141. Collins, 3 for 116. Thornton, 8 for 108. That was 7 touchdowns combined between just those 3 wide receivers. Oh, Big Hurt disappeared. I don't know where you went, Big Hurt. Pop back in here if you want. There were not many sacks in this one. Not a lot of defense in this one. Only 1 sack from Barman. 1 interception from Jones. These guys were offensive, crazy firehouse games, and this one was absolutely batty to go ahead and watch. I was hoping Big Hurt was in here. I was going to have him talk about his game. A massive victory for the Atlanta Falcons. I don't like to see that. I got to play the Atlanta Falcons. I don't need Big Hurt with confidence. A confident Big Hurt is a dangerous Big Hurt. And there he is right there. Mr. Big Hurt, you want to talk about your game, man? You come away with a big victory over the Seahawks. I watched this one. You were up big time on him early in this game. I think it was 24-7 in the first half. He comes trying to take a run back in the second half, but you scored 10 to kind of put that one away. Tell me a little bit about this game.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Perfect. So, early on, I actually drove the opening drive, went down and scored. And then I think I got a stop, basically couldn't do anything with it. But then I was able to punt and kind of pin him a little bit deep into his own territory.
Oh, is he? Uh-oh. Where'd you go? We did hear you. I don't know what happened. I hate when you get caught in the middle of a story. What's up, Bill? Big Hurt, I don't know what happened, bud. It just stopped. I heard and then it went away. I'll look at some stats, see if you make it back. Interrupt me. Phoenix, listen to me. Jesus. Penix, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 159 yards. So not really in the air, but really on the ground for them. There were 7 sacks in this game. White, who was an outstanding quarterback last year, had a tough game against the Atlanta Falcons. 3 interceptions, 2 touchdowns for him. Rushing, man, Robinson had his way, 23 for 135 and 1 touchdown. Give it to the Atlanta Falcons, though, holding Walker under 50 yards. He only had 5 carries, still held him under 50 yards. 2 touchdowns for Tyson, 1 touchdown here for Moore. He had 1 reception with the 1 touchdown. And looking at a little defense, hopefully Big Hurt can rejoin me. Big Hurt, I see you had like a little symbol. It went away. Are you with me?
I am back.
There you are. You are back. All right, finish your story.
Yeah, so I got the ball back. I don't know exactly where you were, but basically I got the opening drive, went down and scored, held him, pinned him, and then he threw a little hitch out in my rookie corner, matter of fact, jumped it for a pick 6. And then he threw kind of a unwarranted, unlike Meek Boy kind of pass. He rolled out to the right, threw a deep ball back to the left. Bates picked it off, and it just seemed like he made a few mistakes early that really costed him and got him into a hole that he really couldn't get out of. My defense had a few turnovers and was just able to build enough big enough lead at halftime at 24-7, and then was able to kind of effectively run the ball and close the game out. He did kind of make a run at it late. I missed a field goal on a stop that ended a drive with no points, and so he was able to make it a little bit closer at the end. But yeah, it was a good game. My defense, I was happy with how they played for week one.
Let's talk about some games to watch. We're going to look at 2, 3, and 4. Just give me 1 or 2 games. I'll go first and give you a chance to maybe look at them. Jets and Bills could be a sneaky good one. Cincyberg, I know, is going to get that turnaround. Maniac was in the OMFL Bowl for season 111. He's looking to continue to that. Steelers and Bengals, I think, is going to be sensational. The Steelers with a massive victory in week 1. The Bengals almost struggled, almost dropped one there in week 1 against the Houston Texans. That, I think, is going to be a great game. Any games sticking out to you in week number 2 you think are going to be really fun to watch?
Week 2, I do want to give you just a quick update. Cincy and Nippler are playing right now, and it's 10-9. And it's going into the fourth quarter, so that's
there you go. We got defense in that
kind
one.
of a close match right now for week 1. But week 2, I definitely think the Jets Bills could be an early tale of the if Cincy does kind of lock back in and play his style of play that we have seen in the past. I think that would be an early big game matchup for that division and really AFC wise. I like the Steelers Bengals as well. Penguins, I think, is going to be a really strong team this year, and Little Koch has always had a strong team with the Bengals and plays well. The one that I was interested in what was I looking at? Oh, it was the Bucks and the Cardinals. I think this could be one of those games. I know you were talking about stats in week 1 with lots of yards. And I think this game could be one of those types of games just because Kevin really is kind of an elite offense with Drake May, the way he played last year and having those receivers. But then Joker also can pretty much sling it with the best of anybody in the league. And with Marvin Harrison and the guys that he has there, that could be a really high-scoring, interesting game. But that would probably be the one big game that I'm most interested in.
Yeah, 2 other honorable mentions, Seahawks, Rams. You're going to have the Seahawks good and pissed off the rest of the season. Rams, Logan, showing that he belongs in this league. Got to clean up some FPR, but he'll get there. And then a sneaky one, because of what you did against the Seahawks, the Jaguars are going to want to prove something against you. And this is going to be a game that either shows that Fleury belongs in all the conversations that he earned last year, or maybe, he's got a little bit longer to go. Looking at week number 3, oh my goodness. I just really noticed I got to play the 49ers. He's going to be rolling by then. That's not a game that I'm too interested in talking about. Colts and Eagles, man, I really do believe that Bronco Man's got the Colts turned around, but Kobe is humming after week number 1. That could be a ton of fun to be able to watch that one. The game that really sticks out to me, I'm going to go with the same team that you went with in your other one, Cardinals and Rams. I just think Joker is always right there offensively. He can make plays on defense. Logan, again, is trying to sort of earn his keep in a really tough, very arguably, the toughest division in all of the OMFL. That could be a really fun game to see. Does Logan match up, or are these teams a little closer than we think, or does Logan have a little bit more to go with rebuilding that roster? That could be a ton of fun to watch. And then I got to say it because I don't know if you will, Falcons, Cowboys. Got to be game of the week in this one. You're going to take a really good team that I think you play very similar, at least early on in this season, to what Dallas does, right? We're going to be really cautious with the quarterback. I'm going to try to hit you with a big play. I've got playmakers all over, so even if you think you've got me shut down, I can hit one of them. Oh, and by the way, if you play zone, I'll just take off running with my quarterback, and I'm going to play really excellent defense and trying to pick you off. Game of the week, hands down. What's the game you're looking for in week number 3?
there's a couple that stand out from me. I think early on in the season, after last year, I think for week 3, the Colts Titans could be a really fun game just because that's a divisional matchup. And I think both of these guys could really lock in and be somebody that not only represents the AFC, but could win that division. I think Broncos kind of trying to find his way back. Kobe, obviously, trying to find his way back. And then on the draft night, seemed like he was kind of ready to lock back in and kind of do some playbook changing up and whatnot. So I think that could be a big early tell for what these two teams bring to the table for season 113. I also really like, for whatever reason, I really like the Browns-Seahawks game is obviously one that stands out to me. But the one that I'm going to go with is the Chargers and the Bills.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just really impressed with, what was the game that
Chargers Giants?
Steelers Patriots was the one.
Steelers Patriots, yep.
Lost Sniper threw I want to say for 400 yards or something like that week 1. And Penguins seems to play pretty good defense. So I think that might be a really good matchup to see what Lost Sniper. He has a great quarterback. He has a really good receiver. And so I want to see kind of how he stands up against somebody who's kind of known more for defense. Because I don't remember who he played in week 1, but I was impressed with he played Roger. Mm-hmm. And that was a crazy high air it out attack on both sides. But I want to see if Lost Sniper can kind of keep those type of numbers against somebody who's a little bit more defensive oriented and has a track record for being a solid team. I like what Lost Sniper could do in that division, top to bottom, between Maniac, Cincy, Lost, and Massimo, could really shape up to be a fun one for the season, especially if Lost is going to air it out like that, because we all know Massimo can air it out, Cincy's able to air it out, and then Maniac just kind of playing his style and making his run all the way to the Bull. That could be a really fun division to watch as the season unfolds. And then I do think the Falcons-Cowboys game is going to be a fun one. Definitely one that I'm going to have to lock in and kind of play air free to see if I can make a statement with my Falcons early on.
Week number 4, we'll take a look at that. Has a ton of great matchups. I could probably talk about the entire schedule. Now, by the time we get to week 4, maybe we don't think all of these games are as great as we do here today, but Jets and Panthers, 2 really good teams. Jets trying to get things figured out. Panthers, I think, have figured things out. Bengals, Steelers. You just touched on the Steelers. I think that could be a really, really fun game. 49ers and Titans. That's going to be the game I want to talk about. Before I do, I want to look at a couple of these other ones. Seahawks and Cardinals would be a really good one. Raiders and Chargers. The Bills versus the Falcons. That's going to be a great one. Mr. Maniac's got to hit the road and go play against your Atlanta Falcons, his old team. Browns, Ravens, Saints, Buccaneers. Hopefully is going to be a good one. I got to come back and talk about the big one, though. 49ers versus Titans. D-Money, I feels like he's got something to prove. He's sort of like all high-end competitors. He kind of has to create something that drives him. And I think last season, not showing up in the playoffs, one of the few times that's happened for him, I think he feels like he has something to prove. Now, he's got a long way to kind of figure out the quarterback situation there, but I think by here, he's going to have his team figured out. He's going to have the offense rolling. We've seen what Kobe did in week number 1. Now, he's got to do it by the time we get to week number 4. That could be 2 high-end teams trying to show that they have something to prove here in season 112. It's the game I'm going to go with. What game are you looking for in week number 4?
Well, like you said, there's a handful of games that we could all tune into and probably catch a good one. I mean, Bengals, Steelers, Cowboys, Commanders, 49ers, Titans, even the Jaguars, Chiefs, Cardinals, Seahawks, Dolphins, Patriots. There's a handful of them. Bills, Falcons, Browns, Ravens, Saints, Bucks. The one that I want to touch in just for kind of to talk about is the Cowboys and the Commanders. I know Dwayne always talks about his division being pretty tough. I like what Shiloh's done with his team. I like that he is in a division I caught bits and pieces of your game versus him week 1, but I want to see how he shapes up against D Wayne and his running a game, and like, is he going to be with the early loss in week 1? Does he bounce back and kind of keep himself in the hunt, or does he kind of fall out of the hunt? I feel like the early losses can stack up quick and then really put you behind the 8 ball when you're in a division with someone like D Wayne or D Money. So you kind of have to stay, in that win total and not fall too far behind. And I think if Shiloh's going to get a win against D Wayne, it has to come in week 4 to kind of keep himself relevant and in the hunt. And I think that being that the Cowboys are on the road, he just comes off a big game versus me in week 2. I don't remember who he played in week 3. Oh, he played me in week 3. But week 2, he played Twinkie. So it's another divisional game. But I just like to see what that matchup entails and how Shiloh stacks up against D Wayne.
Yep, I think that's going to be a really great one. Let's do our season predictions, man. Tons of divisions. This is the part that could always take like a 4-hour show. Like we can just sit here and talk about these divisions over and over again. We'll see if we can get through them really quick. And then we've got about 100,000 mailbag questions. I love it. Keep the questions coming. If you see a clock next to yours, that means we're going to wait on it. It's just like I need time to go look, because I think it's a really great question, and we just can't sit here and do all of them. So let's see if we can get through this and talk division by division. We'll go and start with the AFC. AFC North, you got the Steelers. They're already at 1-0, 41 points for them in week number 1. Bengals at 1-0, 30 points for them. Browns 0-1, but they scored 30. They just gave up 41 to the Steelers. Ravens currently playing now. Sounds like they got a defensive battle. I think this could be a great division if Nipples continues to stay plugged in, if Penguins can continue to build on what he's got with that team. Bengals, made a small run last year, but they sort of hiccuped at times. And then the Browns, man, showed that they were a powerhouse. They were right there in the AFC Championship. This is a bit of a toss-up. And the reason I have pause is I wouldn't say I didn't see anything from the Browns that would make you think they couldn't repeat outside of the fact they dropped this game to the Steelers in kind of ugly fashion. 11 points is going to be a pretty tough one. And that was with the Steelers on the road. You were at home and still laid an egg there, 30-41. So that gives me a little bit of pause. And my heart always wants to think that Nipples is going to go on a run, but you just sort of never know with Mr. Nipples. The Bengals could go on a run here. I'm going to go ahead and stick with the horse I know, and that's the Browns. The caveat is anyone in this division could win it. Do not be surprised if they get 3 teams into the playoffs. I think the Steelers will make a run. There's always going to be a part of this season where things start to hiccup. We see teams out of the gate fast in week 1. They cannot contain that for the rest of the year. They cannot keep that up with the consistency the rest of the year. So let's see if the Steelers can do that. Give me the Browns to win this division. I think the other 2 teams will be in the hunt for a wild card. Who wins AFC South? North. AFC North. Who wins the AFC North?
You just had said it, and I think it's any money, mo here. I think really honestly, the Steelers getting a week 1 against the Browns is kind of eye-opening, but not shocking because of what Penguins is capable of doing and has done in the past. But I do like how his team has come together and what he's built. And I think if he can kind of get what I would say comfortable with his team and this year's Madden game and whatnot, we're a season in, so if you're not comfortable by now, then I don't know. It might be a long cycle for you. But it's hard to go against the guy that was in the AFC Championship game, and it's not like that was a fluke by any means. So I'm going to stick with what I know. Week 1, you come out, you're trying to find how your team plays. You got a few new pieces or maybe leaning on a rookie to see how he plays or something like that. So I think that game isn't one that we can say, the tide's changed. It might have, but I think for right now, I got to stick with the Browns to win the division. I definitely think the Steelers and the Bengals are both going to be relevant. If Nipple can stay locked in and play all of his games and not be too busy with life and everything, this division could be really, really interesting. And any of these teams can make the playoffs, from winning the division to grabbing a wild card. But for right now, I'm going to stay with the Browns winning it, and then all three teams being relative to try and grab two of the wild card spots.
One could make an argument if Nipples, when he is plugged in, when the Steelers are right, that is the best division in all of the OMFL. Now, NFC West is going to have the championships because of D-Money and the consistency because of the Seahawks, but top to bottom, every team here has been in a championship game with three of them, maybe two of them for sure have won championships, maybe three of them with the Ravens. So, arguably, that they could make a case that AFC North, when everyone's plugged in and right, is the best division in all of the OMFL. Now let's take a look at the AFC
Just
South.
A quick update.
Yeah,
we got a 20-15 game right now with 1:15 left. The Ravens are up on the Jets. They do have the ball, but the Jets have all three timeouts, and it's 2nd down and 11 right now. So could be interesting how this game finishes up as well.
It's so funny how you feel looking at week one. By the time we come back again, it'll be week 4, and we'll have a completely different outlook on all of these teams. Looking at the AFC South, you got the Titans and Coach Kobe at 1-0, Roger and his Texans 0-1, Fleury and his Jaguars 0-1. A bit of a surprise there, even though he was in a defensive battle, only lost by 6. And then Mr. Pancakes, aka Randy, aka Bronco Man, aka I forgot their name, the Orlando Condors, the Colts. His team is sitting at 0-1 after a 32-42 loss in week number 1. I think Randy just needs some confidence. We've seen how confidence can get your team rolling with the Jaguars last season. He had confidence. He was playing great defense, goes on a nice run, gets into the divisional round of the OMFL playoffs. Houston Texans always can play amazing offense. He can stretch you deep. He can put up points. If he can figure out just a halfway mid-class defense, this would be a team that'd be crazy, crazy dangerous. And then Kobe, man, he showed, he said it on the draft night. I got something to prove. And boy, he came out week number 1 and proved it with a 42-7 win over a very, very good team. This one's a toss-up. I'm going with the Titans. I just look, Kobe, I think, is going to have confidence. He showed it. I believe he's got something to prove in this league, and I think he's going to do it this season. Give me the Titans to win this division. How do you see this one breaking out?
Not to change the subject, but a quick update. Since he did hold him and Nipple punted the ball 59 seconds, the Jets have 1 timeout, and they have about 82 yards to go to try and win this game. Then AFC South. This is a division I think is wide open. It's interesting how all of these teams kind of play to their own strength. Kobe is in a position where we all know that he kind of left his team being a Jets guy, took over the Titans, and it's a massive rebuild. But I think he is got a solid team in the making. And then Fleury has quite a young team with the Jags, and has built a pretty good roster, acquiring pieces like Lattimore from yourself to kind of give him some veteran experience and strength at that cornerback position with some of the younger guys and defensive pieces that he has. And then Roger with his air raid attack that he's got with CJ Stroud, and I can't think of his name at the receiver position, but
DeMarco.
Yes, DeMarco. So, and then Colts, Condors, whatever you want to refer to him, Bronco Man, he's got some pieces there, and I think he's building, like you said, just trying to gain some confidence, and when he gets it, watch out. I want to lean and take Kobe. The only thing that I feel like Kobe's missing right now is a running game. He's got Tony Pollard that produces, but I don't know that the consistency in the running game is there. And defensively, from a on paper standpoint, I don't know that he has the talent quite just yet. Whereas the Jags and the Colts, I feel like, have a little bit better roster, but they're not maybe as confident as a owner standpoint. So that's why I kind of am in a toss up. Roger, I want to see, I just want one season where I just see Roger like take off and just do what he does and just wins the division. And he's like on the cusp of it all the time of it happening. But with that being said, I'm going to go with the Jaguars winning the division, just because I do think he has the best roster team, offense and defensively. Both sides of the ball are strong. And I think if he doesn't win this division this season, I think Kobe's going to be in the mix for the playoffs wildcard team. And I think once he gets a couple more pieces, either free agency and draft next year, it's his division to lose. So I think if anybody's going to take this division right now, it's going to be the Jaguars, just because he does have a little bit of confidence. And I think Bronco could easily gain the confidence and win the division this year from a team roster standpoint. But I'm going to go with the Jags to win this division right now.
Let me see the Raj and his Houston Texans in the playoffs with a top 13 defense. I think he would be absolutely scary. AFC East, Maniac and the Bills, your AFC champion in the OMFL Bowl last season. Dolphins with a big victory in week number 1, and Coach Massimo at 1-0. I'm sorry, lost Sniper and the Patriots at 1-0, and then Cincyberg in a really tight, close game, trying to make a run here at 0-0 in his New York Jets. This one you could go any way. I think the Jets are building and rebuilding that team and going to take small steps. Maybe not the giant leaps that we've seen the Titans make in week number 1, but I think enough steps that you will see him make a run at the playoffs. Patriots are a lot like the Texans for me, that they're a team that's sort of always sort of right there, and the luck isn't on their side. Things don't come through for them. Rusty Starr is an amazing quarterback. If he can get a good running game going the way he did in week number 1, now he's got to prove it against a real defense. The Houston struggles there. And if he can get that offense rolling, he plays good enough defense, that could be a really fun team. Massimo, we know, can score points with the very best of them. Now, he didn't do it in week number 1, but he did it enough to score. So if this defense can continue to hang in there, the Dolphins' offense is going to be right there. I'm just going to stick with the Bills. His team is solid. He's rolling. He's got the quarterback. He's got the running back. He's got the playmakers on defense and offense. You know, I think he learned a lot about himself and his team in the OMFL Bowl against Dwayne. I think he's going to continue to build upon that. And some may look at his week 1 score of a 20-14 win, just barely kind of sneaking out of week 1 with a victory after being in the OMFL Bowl, as a negative. I see it as a positive. You had a tough game against Dwayne. You come into week 1, you have a tough game. Anytime you have those tough games, it shows you how to win and how to pull through. Give me the Bills to win this division. I think all 3 teams will be right there. It's good to see Mr. Maniac in the chat right now.
Yeah, I think you there?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So I think the AFC East is definitely wide open. I do think Cincy will continue to get better. I do think he's a few pieces away, quarterback especially, for him to be kind of comfortable. But I think, like you said, Maniac's got the quarterback. He's got one of the elite quarterbacks in not only the entire league, but in that division. We've seen a couple of quarterbacks star, and then the Dolphins, is a Duke, I think. But Josh Allen he's different. And when you put a guy like that in control of a player like a Maniac, that's a tough guy to defend and play against. And I think the big thing for me is, many people may or may not know, but now that Maniac has his internet and it's been stable and figured out, and he's not playing with like a delay or a lag consistently, now he can just focus on playing confidently and playing his style of game and playing and using like players and defensively, and he's a very smart and player, but he doesn't like get like the sexy wins with the stats, like throw for 400 yards and do all these crazy things, but he just plays methodical, like good football, turnover free, error free, defensively puts pressure on you, just makes you make the right plays, and just kind of stays with the course the whole time. And when he's got a team like the Bills got, I think that's a team that's ready to win and ready to make a repeat back to the bowl game. And I think he's got to be one of the favorites in the AFC. So I'm going to keep him winning this division for right now. I do think the other three teams are going to push, and we'll see. I think the big question mark for the Jets is quarterback play. I think the big question mark for the Dolphins is turnovers and maybe establishing a little bit of a run game to keep people off balance. And then the Patriots is just really kind of finding and being able to score with these teams and get a few stops. But all three of those teams are definitely owners and that are able to compete and find themselves in the playoffs or even competing for the division.
All right, let's talk about our last AFC division, the AFC East. Kansas City Chiefs putting up 42 points in week number 1. Not the season he expected to have last year. The Raiders at 0-1, though, a team that did win, or almost won this division. That's right. He didn't win it, but he was close. He did make a run in the playoffs. The Broncos, who did win this division, this one was a bit of a shocker last season to me. The quarterback play, the running game was outstanding. The number one rusher, I think, in all of the OMFL. But he starts out a little slow, giving up 56 points in his week 1 loss. And then the Chargers, they're at 0-0. They're either playing soon or in the middle. I'm not sure. I think they're playing here tonight. But Pepper's always a confidence thing. It's like a lot of teams here. When Pepper's playing with confidence on both sides of the ball, I think he likes playing really good offense. But when I've seen him play his best, it's when he's got a balanced offense but a really strong defense. I don't know if he's there yet. I'm always wanting to see where is his confidence level when we start to roll into the season. And if he starts to pile up wins, look for the Chargers to make some noise here. I can't explain to you the Chiefs. I can't put my finger on him. Last Madden, he was consistent. He was there. We've had lots of great interviews with him leading up to this Madden and in this season. The draft, he seemed to do pretty well. He's always a little cash strapped, but let me see some more consistency out of him. And this division becomes really fun, though, Big Hurt, is when the Raiders and Broncos are playing well. And last season, they both played well, but then the Chiefs and the Chargers sort of fell off, and they took a step backwards. If all four of these teams can be clicking and rolling and moving, fun division. Big Hurt, we've also seen this division be arguably the worst division in all the OMFL when all four teams are not clicking well. And, well, coming out of week 1, you sort of worry, has this division taken a turn back after the great last season that they had, and will the Raiders and Broncos, be consistent? Will the Chiefs be consistent? Will the Chargers be consistent? Flip a coin in this one. This one's really tough to call. I tend to lean towards the Chiefs because of Mahomes, because the way he can play defense, and because he's got consistent running backs and can get a good, consistent running game going. Same reason I think the Broncos could easily win this division. Give me the Chiefs, though, just playing off the high of week number 1. What do you think happens here in the AFC West?
Well, you mentioned it. I think it's always fun when the Broncos and the Raiders have found their way and are representing their teams well, because then this division kind of elevates and becomes one that's fun to watch. And last season that happened. I'm concerned that the Broncos giving up 56 points in week 1, and that's a lot of points for a guy that last season played pretty well. I don't know what changed. And then the Chiefs kind of had his ups and downs, and I think the Chiefs, if I remember right, played the Colts. So I don't want to put my hand all in yet, just because what kind of team is Bronco bringing to the table the season 113? We all know what he's capable of, but I just don't know. He scored 32 points So hopefully he's back and going to compete. But with that being said, I do think the Chiefs have the roster, but they're going to be like a must win now. There's some of their older pieces, Chris Jones, and
Khalees.
a couple of their linemen. They've got a really good interior offensive line to protect Mahomes and those running backs opening up holes. But like Travis Kelce, Chris Jones, a couple of the other guys, they're on the verge of not only either turning over and wanting a mega payday or getting on kind of the back end of their age and their career. So I think the Chiefs are kind of in a win now mode. And I think the Broncos and the Raiders are still elevating and kind of building around some pieces and just can keep competing. But the thing that I'm going to say is the Chargers have a solid roster, both sides of the ball, and they added DK Metcalf. So if he is plugged in, plays with confidence, he's got a stud receiver that can be a go-to number one receiver. And then the young guy like Ladd McConkey and all the other players with Justin Herbert and that defense, I think this could be the team that, in my opinion, could take the division and win it this year. And so I'm going to go with the Chargers as my early season pick.
Absolutely. I think that's a really good pick. And when Pepper's playing with confidence, he's really good. NFC North, we're going to move our attention to the NFC. The Vikings at 0-1, Lions at 0-1, Bears at 0-1, Packers at 0-1. My goodness. If we can say it about the AFC West, we got to say it about the NFC North. We've seen this story before. Now, new owners here. New teams that showed us last season they can win. Packers are right there to the very bitter end. Vikings have gained some momentum. Lions, a little hit and miss, but we feel like he can start to hit. Colin made a nice little run in the playoffs, but here we find ourselves once again, all of these teams winless here in the first week. Flip a coin. I'm sort of going to go with the guy who had two rookies break rookie OMFL records in the Chicago Bears. But I can make a case for any of these teams. Priest, I've said it time and time again, when Priest is not turning the ball over, he was in the NBC championship game. He won that bowl game. We've seen him win it in the Deuce, I'm pretty sure. Like, he's won in other leagues. There's just something about here. He turns the ball over. Whenever he's keeping the turnovers down and he's playing really good defense with a great running game, he is dangerous. I just think he gets bored. I don't know if I can say that, but it feels like he gets bored with playing sort of that boring offense. He loves to air it out. Bears and Colin, the most consistent player in this division. He knows how to win. He just has a team that doesn't have all the pieces just yet. I think he's going to win enough games to be able to win this entire division. That's going to be my pick. Tim, I think he's still trying to figure out the quarterback situation. He drafted one. Rookies are hard to build. I don't even know if he's starting the rookie yet. Goff's escalation is going to happen in his contract. He's going to go away after this season. So let's see what the Lions end up doing. Give Tim another season or so to kind of build that team. And then Nysonger, I really like this team. He's got some key core pieces. He's got some young talent, especially on the defensive side. I felt like he had a pretty solid draft, and he even came on the draft night and told us a little bit about that draft. He just had a really tough game here in week number one. I think he'll push for the playoffs. But this one's all about the Bears. How do you see the NFC North playing out?
Well, I'm going to go ahead and call out Tim, because I know Tim makes comments about that he's, going to solidify the North as his to win. And, he's got a solid Detroit team. I know he kind of turned his roster over with going to a rookie quarterback, but the rookie quarterback that he got looks like he's pretty solid. So,
and
I think he
did lose to the 49ers.
Playmakers all the way around him. He's got speed everywhere. So I think he has what it takes to win the division and make himself a challengeable team and a difficult team to play against. Nysonger, I really like his team as well. The Vikings are very balanced. He's got a good running back. The rookie quarterback, or second-year quarterback now, J.J. McCarthy, and then Justin Jefferson is just a difficult receiver to play up against. Defensively, they're pretty solid. And then the Packers with Priest, I thought he drafted pretty well.
Yeah.
But the team that I'm going to go with is the Bears. I think if Colin can keep the turnovers down in the pass game, he's got Caleb Williams, like he showed last year, that he could like sling it with the best of them. He's got a couple of receivers over there that really are performing well. And he got, I want to say, the rookie Tyrone Watts had a pretty good week 1. And I think that was maybe pushing the ball towards him enough, maybe got a pick or two. But Roma Dunes had a pretty good first year. And then he's got DJ Moore still. And then Cole Kmet as a tight end. So he's got weapons, the run game, DeAndre Swift. And then defensively, the Bears are pretty solid. I think this is the Bears division to win right now. And just because I do think if he can limit the turnovers, which is kind of the whole thing for this entire division, I think. But I think Colin is in the position to win this division, and it's his to lose right now. With a rookie quarterback for the Vikings, or a young second-year quarterback, the Lions with a rookie quarterback, and then the Packers with another young quarterback, they're all like, and even Caleb Williams, but he's pretty solidified after last season. So I'm gonna go with Colin and the Bears.
Yep, I can't argue with you. If there is such a thing as an impressive loss, the two teams that did have impressive losses would be the Lions and Vikings. So let's see how NFC North plays out. NFC South, I'm going to save that one. It's me and you. We'll come back to this one. NFC East, Cowboys and Dwayne, OMFL champion, finally got over the hurdle again. He shows in week number 1 while he is still the boss. Giants at 1-0, an impressive victory. 56 points in week number 1. Commanders and Shiloh, tough team. I got to say it up front. I knew that he was going to be a Roger. He's going to be, for me, Outlaw, Priest, like guys with records that don't think that they're competitive, and they show up and they hit you right in the jaw. And that's what the Shiloh and the Commanders are going to be. I really like what he has going there. And then our guy Twinkie and the Eagles. Twinkie actually was the team that faced Mr. Priest over in the NBC Bowl. So he had a great season. He just hasn't been able to translate that here to the OMFL. I know he is itching to win. He's itching to get some momentum going here. This is just a tough division. I can't pick anyone but the Cowboys to win the division. They are just Mr. Consistent. We all know it. I'm just going to go ahead and get it over with and hand it over to you. What is happening to you in the NFC East?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to pick against someone who is of the caliber of Dwayne with the Cowboys. One thing about the Cowboys, I think, is the running back depth. I'm worried about him. This Chance McCollum is an absolute beast of a running back, but behind him, he's got Deuce Vaughn and Leonard Fournette. So I'm interested to see how that plays out over the course of the season. If Chance McCollum can stay healthy, there's no doubt in my mind Dwayne's on track to probably make another bowl game push. And I also want to say, how did we let him get this dude, James Fletcher? I don't know the name of the guy that he had last Madden, but it was a receiver, and he also did all the kick returns.
Yep.
And Dwayne was an absolute beast with that guy. James Fletcher is a 6'4", 221 rookie receiver out of Georgia. He's got pretty good speed. You pair him 93. With guys like CeeDee Lamb, Jake Ferguson, and Chance McCollum. That just makes it scary because now he can play, double tight end, 2 receiver sets, and really take shots deep, but also use those big boys for blocking in the run game. And that just kind of stacks up to how Dwayne likes to play. So I do think the Cowboys are in position to win this division. I do think the Giants are up and coming and will give him a challenge before this cycle is over. And I really like what Bill's done. He's got the young quarterback that's upcoming, but Josh Jacobs as a running back, and then Neighbors and Hyatt and those guys over there. I think this team is started off kind of rough out of the box, but as Bill builds them, I think the Giants are going to be a team to watch out for, but I don't think they're there just yet. And then we talked about Shiloh. I think he's always behind the 8 ball just because of where he is and what time zone he has to play people. But it's D Wayne's division to win.
Let's look at the NFC West. I'm sorry. Yeah, NFC West. Then we'll go back to our NFC South. Cardinals at 1-0. 49ers 1-0. Logan and the Rams at 1-0. Seahawks at 0-1. It almost feels like you could have flipped that and no one would have been shocked, but it's the other way around right now. Listen, it's going to come down to all four of these teams playing really well. But you have to look at the consistency. Logan is still building. He's still getting used to the OMFL. He's still working through some FPR issues. He's still building a roster that lacked real talent, especially at the skill position, which I'm still a little worried about now. He's been able to scheme and play call himself out of week one from that, but can he do that long term, especially as you play top 5 defenses, 49ers, Seahawks, arguably top 10 defense in the Cardinals. Cardinals has always been a consistency thing. He's right there. He just can't seem to beat the 49ers and the Seahawks consistently. So to me, it comes down to a 2-man race to win the division. I expect all 4 teams to make a run at the playoffs, and it wouldn't surprise me if this division got 3 teams in like a couple of other divisions. The question you have to answer for yourself is D-Money back? Is Meek in some kind of lull here that he's going to wake himself from and give himself poster board material and start to rock his team going? I know he was looking to make moves. He was able to get up to the top end of the draft. He was trying to replace a big-time playmaker. I don't feel like he was able to do that. There's going to be a speed factor there that he's now lacking. I know he still has that in Lockett, but I think that speed factor has really affected White early on in the season. And man, D-Money just looks like he's back, 31 points, consistent. He's got to figure out the quarterback play. If there is a season for a Rams, for a Cardinals to go make a run, this is the season. You better jump on the 49ers and Seahawks early in this one. I'm going to stick with the consistency. I haven't seen the 49ers or Cardinals or Rams be able to beat the 49ers and Hawks consistently. Give me the 49ers to win this division. How do you see this one coming up?
This will be a fun one. And as you just mentioned, I think this is the division, or this year is the for this division. If the Niners or the Seahawks aren't going to win, first of all, I will say that the Rams, I thought, had a really solid draft and are going to be a team that continues to build. The Rams, you kind of have to rebuild that roster from the get-go. And so stacking up against guys like D-Money and the Seattle with Meek Boy, and even what Joker's done with the Cardinals, that you're kind of automatically, sitting in the back's last place spot, just based on the team. But I do expect Logan to iron sharpens iron. So he plays these 3 guys. He's going to, be an owner that is going to be tough to play against. And I think that he'll, over time, will continue to get better and be a part of it as his team gets better. I don't think he's there yet this year. I do think the Cardinals are a team to watch out for this year, though. I like their quarterback, Austin Henry. And then they got the second-year running back, Trey Benson, kind of progressed up. And he's got a couple other guys that got some speed as well to bring in for depth at running back. Marvin Harrison, Tajon Palmer, a couple guys there at receiver that can make some plays, with also Trey McBride at the tight end. The one thing I like about the Cardinals is they got a pretty decent offensive line. They got 2 or 3 guys that are pretty solid, and but I think Joker is a guy that uses the D line well, and causes havoc and whatnot. So the thing that obviously it's hard to bet against D-Money and whatnot, but I think D-Money is so deep at the cornerback spot, and those guys all can't be on the field at the time. So if you can find a running game, force him to play more linebackers than corners, that's what the recipe is to win. If you're playing 4 wide receivers, he's got corners for days to match up against you. But his linebacker room right now isn't as deep. He does have Fred Warner, but outside that, I just don't feel like he has a lot of depth there. And then on the defensive line, he's got Bosa, but outside that, there's a couple question marks. And I think over time, D-Money is just going to build a gauntlet roster team and fill in those holes. But like you said, this is the season to kind of sneak up and get him right now. An offensive line, even, I don't think D Money's got the line yet, but he's built the skill positions to win it. So it's going to come down between the Niners and the Cardinals, in my opinion. I think Meek Boy is going to suffer losing DK, and he's going to have some growing pains trying to figure out how to play without DK Metcalf, just because that's the nature of how he is as a player and what he brings to your team. But Meek Boy is going to be in it. I think he'll fight for a wild card, but I don't know that he's going to be able to like overcome the early season growing pains to win the division for this season. But he'll be back next season once he figures his team out again. So I'm going to go with the Cardinals and the Niners. Like I said, it's hard to go against the Niners, so give me the Niners for the division.
Nice. It'll be a fun one to watch. All right, let's go talk about our division, the NFC South. Your Falcons at 1-0. My Saints at 1-0 after a tough game against Shiloh and the Commanders on the road. The Panthers at 0-1, tough game against the Los Angeles Rams. And the Buccaneers 0-1, a really tough game against Kobe. Buccaneers, all about the offense. Great quarterback play. He's still building Drake May. He's got those outstanding quarterbacks. He is a top 3 offensive-minded coach, offensive coordinator, one could say, offensive head coach. He can call great plays. He's a great strategizer. Can he get some things filled out on a defense that needed to be rebuilt and was getting older on him, and an offensive line that is also getting older and needed some pieces? The Panthers, arguably the worst roster in all of the OMFL, and yet he won with them last year. He is a good team builder. Give him a couple of weeks to get this thing rolling. It seems to be Bird's MO. He's really busy in real life right now. His MO is come out of the chutes slow, but build and be one of those mighty teams at the end of the season. I think this is really all about your Falcons. I think the other 2 teams in the Panthers and the Bucks will push you at the end. I'm very, very, very inconsistent. I have not won since 2 Maddens ago, and so I have a long, long, long way before I'm even in the conversation. My problem is I turn the ball over too much. I give up too many big plays. I get in my own head. I find ways to lose games, and good teams here find ways to win games. This is about your team and the Falcons. Great run game, very good offensive line, a mobile quarterback who can make passes but can burn you with his feet, a big-time receiver that can make plays, a speedy receiver that can stretch you deep, a tight end that can do everything, especially in Madden. The guy is just all-world everything. And then a defensive coach that knows how to call the right blitzes, the right zones, trick you into some plays. I remember my game in week number 2 or 3 last season. It was a tight game, going late in that one. You booked me into an interception, tricked me into an interception, pick 6, game over. That is the way that you win ball games. That's the way you've always won ball games. And every time you and I have had our own personal battles. I still remember one a couple Maddens ago in the playoffs last season of that Madden. You got I think it was the Bears at that time, rocking and rolling. We go deep, and it just was the interceptions that got you. I think this is all about your team being the top team in this division. I see the other teams maybe pushing you. This is really going to be about you. I think you got the best all-around team. How do you see the South coming out?
Going into this season, I felt good about my team. I do think the Bucks were a team that was going to compete with me for sure. But I kind of, week 1, am really shocked that he only put up 7 points and gave up 42. So I was shocked to see that. I'm not going to write that off just because, again, week 1, you're getting a new team, new players, and kind of, things have changed a little bit, and you got to find your way. And, maybe it was just a bad game or an injury happened. Who knows? But Drake May is now an elite quarterback. He's still got Godwin, Trey Palmer. I mean, you know as well as I do what Trey Palmer and Godwin are capable of doing. Mike Evans has regressed down to like a mid-80, so I think that definitely hurts him offensively a little bit. But he's still got a solid team. I think he'll compete for the division. The Panthers, the guy's got an unbelievable run game, and he showed last year. Jonathan Brooks is able to carry the load. He just doesn't have the receivers yet that to kind of help keep a balanced attack. And I think once he builds this team, we all know Bird is what he's capable of as an owner and as a user. So I think he is a season or so away as he gets more guys on that in the pass game to help him. And then for your team, I like what you got built coming on along with your team. You got the nice defensive end, and then the running backs and stuff like that, because Kamara's kind of regressed down. You still got a good quarterback. You've got some elite receivers. Your offensive line interiorly looks to be pretty solid. But defensively, some of your playmakers like Matthew and Demario Davis are getting to be up there in age. And so I think you might be in a rebuild mode, and you just kind of said a little bit about your confidence level. I anticipate you to be better than what you all think you're going to be. But once you get a few pieces and retool this team, I think you've got some key playmakers that are really going to keep you in a lot of games that you don't think you're going to be in. But I think myself, it just comes down to not turning the ball over. And so if I can do what I did week 1 and hand the ball off to Bijan and keep him healthy and have success, I like what I could do this season but I think this season is going to come down between the Bucks and I. My kryptonite is Kevin. So for me, I hope that I can overcome that, but I'm going to say, just off of week 1, him giving up 42 points, I'll say the Falcons win the division.
Give me your crazy OMFL Bowl, crazy early OMFL Bowl predictions.
Crazy OMFL Bowl prediction, week 1. I'm gonna go. That's tough. Give me the Cowboys versus the Steelers.
Nice. I think you and I are close to thinking in the same direction. Give me the Cowboys versus the Titans. I think Kobe is itching to get back. He's itching to show that he is a team to be reckoned with. Give me the Titans to go ahead and make a run. I think he's going to be playing really, really good defense. And I think we both see the NFC sort of the same. Now, you're going to try to throw a wrench in it. I know you're confident. You're going to try to show that your team should be one of those teams that are consistently there. But right now, Mr. Dwayne is Mr. Consistent, and that's going to be our pick. All right, let's open up the OMFL mailbag, see how many of these that we can get through and unpack here. Twinkie, getting going. What was the steal of the draft? I was trying to look through this to sort of see. I think it's so early. It's hard to tell what you would consider steal of the draft. And so you really, up to this point, have to just look at overalls. Look, I got 3 top 50 players with my first 3 picks. I think there are a couple of teams that are in that boat, like the Houston Texans got 1, 2, 3, 4 top 50 players. There's teams like the Eagles that have a couple of top 50 players. The Rams have a couple of top 50 players, like some really good teams that did a really, really good job. I'm going to do something a little outside of the box because these guys never get the love, and they could be pivotal Big Hurt in a really great season. Cincinnati Bengals drafted a center with the highest overall in this past draft, 84 overall. He's 21 years old, 6'3", 311, 89 strength. This guy's 84 win awareness, hidden development. I want to say the Cincinnati Bengals and Coach Little Koch drafted a sleeper with Gavin Quincy and their pick. Who's sort of the steal of the draft for you?
When I say, in my mind, thinking of steal of the draft, it's not only just like overall player wise, but like kind of what team got the guy that fits their team. And I kind of mentioned his name earlier, and it was the Cowboys receiver.
Yeah.
What was his name?
I got him for you right here.
Fletcher.
Fletcher, yep.
He was a 74 overall, but he's 6'4", 221. 93 speed. The acceleration quite isn't there at 88, but I just think a big receiver target with 93 speed to put on the opposite side of CeeDee Lamb. Just makes it a threat. At least you have to honor it. And then like just the way Dwayne plays, like he puts so much pressure on you. And being a solid team that he already is, obviously he won the bowl game, and then you put a guy like that on the other side. The other alternative pick was a guy that I really wanted and I had on my board. I was gonna take him 5 picks before me. D Money of all people takes him, and that's Sergio Scarborough, the running back. I was gonna take him to kind of be a spellback for me. And he ended up getting him at 94 speed, 95 acceleration, 91 agility, 92 change of direction. And the guy has 84 carrying as well, and he's a 79 overall. I just think the way D Money plays with his running game, he's got Garendo, who's a like absolute beast. It's Madison kind of for the short down, but now like if Garendo gets hurt, he's got a guy to fill in and like doesn't fall off at all. And so I think that's another pick that I would say is maybe a steal of the draft, because I want to say he was like 3rd round or something like that.
Yeah, he was late. Yeah, really good pick there from D Money. Doesn't surprise me. Again, we talk about it all the time, but you cannot, you can't sneak players in the OMFL. Like guys are going to find really good talent, and so if you find a guy, you better take him. Mr. Cincyberg said 1 bowl prediction for season 113. It's 112, but it's okay. This still counts. So I'm not going to be a future fortune teller for season 113. 1 bowl prediction. Jets, Steelers, Titans all make the playoffs. What's your
I'm going to go with my I kind of already said the Chargers were going to win that division, but I don't know that that's bold. I'm going to say, even though I picked the Niners to win the division, I'm going to say if I was to pick a bold move, I would say Cardinals win the West.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that you picked that. Tim said, who improved their team the most this previous offseason? I think that's really sort of tough to tell because there's a lot that goes into it, and there's such a short amount of time that goes in to the off seasons. I think it can be a bit difficult to keep your sort of finger on the pulse of who's improving their team, who's not improving their team, who's taking a step back, who's taken a step forward. I would say, though, overall, taking the draft into consideration, taking the free agency into consideration, I'm going to pick Logan in the Los Angeles Rams. I just think he hit home run after home run after home run. He's going to continue to build that team, and I think the biggest jump and leap in talent is going to be the LA Rams. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of stole the show there. I was going to say the Rams definitely had one of the best drafts. I also think taking kind of the offseason in a whole, 1B for me would be the other LA team and the Chargers. Being that Pepper got a guy like DK Metcalf to kind of solidify his team, giving him a number 1 target. I really liked that move, what he did there. So I would say LA Rams, LA Chargers, the 2 LA teams kind of stole the offseason for me.
That's a good point by you. D-Money says, name 1 unit from another team that you would want. O-line, D-line, wide receiver, whatever. Just name 1 unit from one other team that you would want on your team. Whew, that is a good question. And there's a lot of teams that I think for me, Big Hurt, when I think of that, it's easy to go to the coach. And you have to balance that you're not getting the coach, you're getting the team's talent with your coaching ability. And that's a really tough question. I would probably tend to lean towards offensive line. And man, there's so many good offensive lines out there. I'll just be lazy. I'll just say the Dallas Cowboys offensive line. They always seem to play consistent every Madden in, every Madden out. They don't give up a lot of sacks. They protect the quarterback to allow him time to run when he needs to. And he has one of the most consistent top 5 running teams every single season. So I say give me Dwayne's offensive line. What about you?
I had to pick one position group or unit from another team. I'm going to go with the Cincinnati Bengals wide receiver core.
Good one.
I really like Eli Barkley, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Deontay Johnson, Jermaine Burton, Kevonta Turbin. Like, he's got depth and speed, but he's also got the guys like Deontay Johnson and T. Higgins that can be more possessional guys, really focus on like running crisp routes and catching in traffic. But guys like Barkley and Chase who can really stretch the field. And so I would say that, because he also has not high-end tight ends, but guys that, like Eric All is a low-end tight end, but he's athletic. And in Madden, Kyle Pitts is guy, Travis Kelce, like, but all is kind of in that category of a little bit of athletic ability. And I just think that receiving core for the Bengals is pretty phenomenal. And he's got the run game to pair with it. But yeah, that would be the position group that I would want to take, would be the Bengals receiving core.
I can make an argument for the Falcons tight ends. I can make an argument for the Lions linebackers. I can make an argument for the Browns running back crew. Like, there's a lot of good teams out there. That's a really good question. Tim says, Bill says, and Bill, I'll say, you and Nipples questions. I almost gave you X's. I did like 3 times and I took them off. And I'm like, I'm in a good mood. It's week 1. Bill says it's Friday at noon. After a long week of work, you're at McDonald's drive-thru. What are you ordering? Number 1, I don't eat fast food. I shouldn't say that. I try not to eat fast food at all. I will say I did have a McDonald's burger like a year ago, and I was impressed with how they've changed sort of their menu. But if I'm stuck at McDonald's, I'm probably only going to do it when it's McRib season. So I'm getting me a McRib. I am getting me a large. You got to go large fry, or I probably talked myself out of a large fry. But there's something at McDonald's that's low key really good, and it's their chocolate like coffee shake situation. I don't really even remember what it is. It's some kind of like coffee shake thing that is pretty amazing. I think some semblance of that in the closest toilet would be my order. What are you getting at McDonald's?
The only thing I eat at McDonald's is breakfast, and that's give me a McGriddle. That's the only thing I like. My kids love McDonald's, but I'm not much a fan of it because it just makes me feel like complete after. So I don't like to go there. I try to stay away from that. But if I'm getting into McDonald's, breakfast is one that I can definitely be on board with.
Yeah, my wife loves those McGriddles, and I hate when she gets them because I'm like, that's the most. They took all the unhealthy things and put them in one thing. You're right, Maniac Frappe. Maniac, if you're around, you should have just jumped in anyway, but you didn't. But you can't go wrong with a good, solid bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit, right? I don't eat breakfast, but if you're like, hey, I got a long day ahead, it's early in the morning, let's just freaking hit McDonald's and be done. It's hard to go with wrong with a bacon, egg, and cheese, something. Tim says, can you give us your predictions? We just did, Tim. Sorry, that's what this whole show is about, so I can't count your question. Kobe said it's the second season, or it's season 2, and already I think things look a bit different after week 1. Which teams will keep up their game 1 success? Overreactions only, he said. I think I'm going to go with my easy one, the Tennessee Titans, because I've already kind of called that one. I said that they're going to be in the OMFL Bowl. Other teams that I think will continue their success, we're talking about overreactions only. I would say the New England Patriots have an opportunity. The New York Giants are going to keep hanging 50 points on every team that you see. And I think the San Francisco 49ers have something to prove. What are some overreactions only of teams that can continue their success?
The Giants scoring 56 definitely stands up at the top of my list. I think the other one, the Titans and the Steelers making a turnaround week 1. Patriots, Texans, if they can throw those kind of numbers, they could have some very high scoring, good offensive numbers and very low defensive numbers for the season. And then I'll also throw out there the Bears. I think we kind of giving up 47 was a shock to me. Not that Dwayne's not capable of 47, but I think he got behind the 8 ball, just trying to keep up with Dwayne, the pressure, and threw a few too many picks, and things just kind of snowballed and piled up on him really fast. I think the Bears are gonna be around for the season, even though week 1's a tough game when you draw Dwayne.
I should have covered this with the draft question. I forgot we have grades on Neon Sports. Top 5 teams. It kind of goes with the one I did for my sleeper. Bengals were the number 1 graded team in the OMFL after the draft. Titans 2, Jets 3, Dolphins 4, 49ers 5. We never like to see that. Bottom 5, Jaguars in dead last. Nipples and his Ravens. The Colts, which you didn't expect to see. Denver and the Browns. Didn't expect to see. And the Nicesonger, which I wouldn't have to guess because I know he's working hard. Same question from Kobe, but the other way around. Which teams are likely competing for the number 1 pick? It's hard to tell. We're 1 week deep. Like, who knows what is going to happen here? I tend to pick on the teams that we sort of always pick on. I think my Saints could be right there. I think the Colts, they got a lot to prove. They can prove me wrong tomorrow, but so far he's proving that he's going to be right there. The Lions could be right there. The Buccaneers have had those like random, weird, really bad seasons. He could be right there. You like the Chargers. I need to see things from the Chargers. He could be right there. Jaguars. I think the Jaguars are going to take a step back. Great season last year. Really good team. Really bad draft. I think he could be right there. What are the teams that you think could be hunting down that number 1 pick?
That's a tough question because I really like early on, I could really pick out like almost any of these teams to have like a really good season, but I could also see some of these guys just struggling. If I had to pick right now, I'd have to say probably my top 2 or 3 teams would probably be the Rams, Panthers, Packers. I just think the Packers and Priest is kind of stretched out over too many leagues. Plays with the Packers, airs it out. Young quarterback, doesn't really have the running back that he had. I can't remember the guy's name a couple Maddens ago that he had that was an absolute beast. Yeah. And then when he had that, he had a good balance attack. But he just doesn't have that right now. And so plus the division is kind of wide open. He's got some strong users next to him. But from a roster standpoint, I just think the Packers aren't quite there yet. So I think but I also think I could see Priest struggling early on and just kind of losing confidence and being like, all right, I'm going to just throw the towel in and go for that pick. I think the Panthers, owner-wise, should not even be considered in the top half of the draft. But with his team and the division that he's in, plus playing guys like Dwayne and D-Money on the NFC side, he's just going to have a tough go. He doesn't have much at receiver. And then like skill guys even around Bryce Young other than Jonathan Brooks. But I think the games stay close because he can run the ball. But I think the Panthers are a team, and I think once he gets a few pieces around, watch out because he's going to like make a quick 180 turn and be competing for playoff spots and division titles. And then the Rams, like we just talked about, like the division he's in, Logan's still kind of finding his way. But he's in probably one of the top 2 toughest divisions, in my opinion. AFC North and the NFC West they're just so loaded. AFC East I could throw in there as well. But I just think Logan's gonna have a tough time competing against guys like Joker with the Cardinals, D-Money with the Niners, and Meek Boy. I mean, that's 6 games that are just brutally tough games. So I would say those are my 3 teams early on.
All right. Denver said, take a look at your schedule and tell us a couple of teams that you're looking forward to playing. We're an hour and a half deep on the show. We still got 5 questions to go, so I'm going to run through mine really quickly. Forward to playing. I'm going to take divisional opponents out of it. Always look forward to playing those guys. I'm looking forward to playing the Dolphins. Last time I played Massimo, he made me want to delete my game and move on with my life. Seahawks, it just like, that's a way to try to grow. At the same time as when you play the 49ers, the Seahawks, the Dolphins, these teams, like, you're like, oh God, I want to delete this game and never play Madden again. The Bills, it'll be good to play Mr. Maniac once again. I love playing Lost in the Patriots. He whipped my butt in the toilet bowl this past season. Cincy Berg and the Jets, I don't get to play him often at all. Rams and Vikings, 2 teams I think I played maybe once or twice. I don't get to play them much. Bronco Man, literally, I was so angry at my preseason game against him. I literally was like, I either got to remove you or I got to quit playing this game. That's how angry I was. Like, he was that hot at that time. And then there's been a couple of times I played Joker. Those were fun games. So I'm looking forward to my entire schedule. I think I'm playing some fun teams and owners I don't normally get to play, but I've stunk for 2 Maddens, and so I know by week 3 I'm going to be ready to just quit playing Madden again. So take all of that for what you get out of it. Any top teams you're looking to play in this upcoming season?
Just making it quick. I mean, Cowboys, Bills, Niners are the 3 teams at the top. I mean, I got all 3 of them on my list, but I also play the Jets, Patriots, Cardinals, and Bears. I think are the 3 other or
That'll
4
be a
other
fun
teams
one
that I would look forward to playing that I don't get to play all the time. But yeah, seeing the Cowboys, Bills, and Niners on my schedule, I was like, oh boy, that's going to be, especially in the first, like, I want to say 8 or 9 weeks, I got all 3 of those guys.
I just had the league's worst season. I had the number 1 draft pick. And I played the Seahawks, the Bills, the 49ers, my divisional opponents. Like, what? This is not the worst team in the league schedule. What is this? This is terrible. It's going to be really, really bad. Mr. Rogers says, now that you've had your first draft of the cycle, what are your thoughts on the new scouting and draft setup? I got to be honest, I got no complaints. I love it. I thought it was a lot of fun. There's 2 things I would say. I miss the old way where you were given points and you went into each player and they had all of their attributes and you had to spend points. I thought you could find sleepers better that way. That was my one disappointment, is even with the new system, the way that, because I'm doing the drafts now, randomized, the way we do all of that, it's the OMFL, bro. And Big Hurt, you can't sneak anybody out in the OMFL. Like, it's hard to even say anybody's a sleeper because all the top dudes are gone in the first 15, 20 picks. Like, at the end of the second round, you're drafting backups. The OMFL is just on top of it, and we have owners that are just on top of it. And I was sort of hoping with the new stuff there would be an easier way to get some sleepers, and there just isn't any way to do that. Not in this league. Any feedback about the new setup?
I mean, I absolutely love the draft board, the cosmetics, like the jerseys, the players holding the jerseys and stuff, I think is all like super cool.
Yeah, I like the draft board too.
The one thing I don't like or wish they'd bring back is like previous draft to be, once the board is gone, like round 1, as you're getting into round 2, 3, 4, whatever, in the later rounds, being able to go back and kind of see who's drafted who by like, because for me, it's like, I know this guy's going after a D tackle, like, and then I don't remember if he drafted a D tackle or not. Just kind of like trying to project who's going to take who coming up. I wish you could go see like who's been picked by who. That way you can kind of project like, hey, I'm 5 or 6 picks out, like, or 10 picks out, like who's going to be there. So I can kind of have my pick ready. I think that would help speed things up maybe a little bit, and also just be a little bit more prepared. The other thing is the scouting thing. It gives you like 3 guys to scout, and it's always like, well, who, like, I really want a cornerback, and I'm gonna scout 2 of my 3 guys at corner, and then I feel like I like just kind of wasted one guy. I don't want to scout one guy and be like, I don't want him at all. So I wish they would have like a way where you could like tier scout and like unlock like 100% or like 75%, 50%, just to kind of have a better idea of like maybe that guy is
or
what
more
you want or
players.
don't. I don't know how they would do that, but that would be the only feedback that I would have to change. That would be that, and then looking back at previous picks.
Yep, and also a movable personal favorites draft board. Like the fact that you got to put those in order sucks. But off of your idea, like just give us 30, not 3. In the NFL, you get 30 personal one-on-one visits with players. Give us 30. You know, like come on, it's a video game. Just give us 30. Let us, 100% scout 30 players. So, I think that could be better. Nice Hunger, break it down by sections. What do you think won each stage of the offseason? Nice Hunger, to be honest, I have no clue. And the game does not do a great job of showing you by stage. We would have had to keep note of that going through. And honestly, I have zero clue. I think the top of my head, some of these teams that I mentioned are off the top of my head that had really good drafts. I'm trying to find it really quick. More drafts, grades. Teams like the Jets, the Titans, the Buccaneers, the Eagles, the Rams, they're 11th. The Texans had a great draft. The Panthers had a great draft. I think all these teams really helped themselves. And some of those teams at the very tippy top are going to be Titans, Jets, 49ers, unfortunately. Like those teams are going to be the ones that help themselves the most. Anything sticks out about who you thought maybe won the free agency, who won the draft, that kind of stuff?
I think free agency or just offseason trades general. I go back to the Chargers getting DK Metcalf.
Yeah.
Free agency. I think it was Priest got Ronnie Staley, but moved him to center. I think that's a big pickup for him, just the way he plays and like chucks the ball, getting a kind of a staple offensive lineman. Draft wise, I'd have to say the Niners, the Titans, Jets, Chargers, Bengals would be the top 5 teams, in my opinion, that had good, solid drafts.
I think we can advance after Press Pass Live is over too, because it looks like the last game never got scheduled, which is stupid. It's like it's week 1. What are we doing, fellas? Eagles, Chargers, Pepper, Twink. What's going on? Matter of fact, I'm gonna look really fast to see. I don't see. Oh, Chargers are out of town. He didn't have a chance to play the computer. Okay. All right. That's fair enough. So I'll advance this after Press Pass Live's over. The reason that comes up is because the next question was, out of week 1 games, which would you say, I think is what he meant to say, shocked you? I think it's the one that we all talked about, New York Giants and Denver Broncos, 56-35. That one really shocked me. Your Atlanta Falcons, 34-24 over the Seahawks. And then the last one's the big one that we talked about, Houston and New England, of 53-51. That was the first score I saw, and I was like, oh, God, I broke something by bringing the quarterback accuracy up because these scores are stupid. Any other scores shocked you in week number 1? Also, to follow up on what you said, Baltimore holds on against your buddy, Mr. Cincyberg and the Jets, 20-15. Any of these scores shocked you?
I think for me, the shocking week 1, the first one was the Titans and the Bucks. Not that Kobe's not capable of winning, but I just think holding the Bucks to 7 points and getting a win in dominating fashion, right out of the gate, like really kind of solidified what Kobe said in draft night, that he's back. Kevin's been such a solid team offensively, and only to get 7 points really shocked me. But then, yes, 51, 53, 56, seeing 3 teams score 50 points, I was like, holy smokes, this is I felt like I struggled to score 30 points most games last year, and then see 3 teams that scored 50, and then even seeing a few teams in the 40s, like 47, 42, 41, 42, like I was like, this is crazy, like offensive numbers. But I will say, in playing it, it didn't feel like it was just easy. I think some of these scores got out of hand because of turnovers, and those can tally up fast for you.
Yep, you're absolutely right. Nipples again, like Bill. I almost didn't accept it, but I'm being a nice guy. Now it's Friday morning, early 2 a.m. Only Taco Bell open, but your toilet is broken and you won't get it fixed till the next morning. Would you risk it, or would you go home and sleep with an empty stomach? A couple things for me. Number one, I'm only eating Taco Bell if I'm literally going to starve to death. And, I don't eat fast food, or at least try not to eat fast food ever. Though, good Mexican pizza or a good just regular old taco, I can talk myself into. If it's 2 a.m. for me, I have not been drinking adult beverages, and so I'm probably fine with going home on an empty stomach. But I look at this question through your lens, Mr. Nipples, and you're probably, had a few too many beverages behind you. So it's a good chance that you're going to go ahead and eat Taco Bell and probably shat yourself in your sleep. What about you, Big Hurt? You doing any Taco Bell at 2 a.m.?
That's quite the way to put it there, Nate. I would say in my days now, I'm avoiding Taco Bell even when I'm hungry. I don't, again, go back to the McDonald's. Makes me feel a special way that I don't like feeling. In my younger days, my party days, I would grab a few drinks. Taco Bell was the one place that was always open. I'd grab Taco Bell, come home, eat it, and pass out, wake up the next morning and be like, why do I feel like crap? Is it the drinks or is it the Taco Bell, or a little bit of both? But I think at this point in my current days, I want to say wiser days, but I would say I'm avoiding Taco Bell at 2 o'clock or 2 p.m. in the afternoon.
Yeah, there's no number that I'm looking forward to eating Taco Bell. But I do have a follow-up question of my own. Number one, for us, what was always open, especially back in the party days of Nate and Tiff's life, it was Waffle House. And you know what? I'll eat Waffle House any time of the day, because Waffle House is always good for a dinner and a show. And the food's actually really good at a good Waffle House. Because I've been in this situation where the last time I did have to eat Taco Bell was in a little town. I actually went back home to help my dad, and there were no options but fast food for dinner. It was like you either don't eat or you eat fast food. So if you're stuck in a place where your only option is fast food, what is the chain that you're going to eat? And Chick-fil-A is not an option.
That's tough. I would say give me Sonic, just because I like their drinks.
Good choice. That is a good choice. Not a bad choice there. All right, Mr. Big Hurt, your own question. What team is most likely to finish with the best record this season? Let me get over there, and then I want to hear your own thoughts since you asked this question. Let me go to current standings. Yes, standings. You're saying which team will have the best record, and I'm going to put your other question: which team is get their first lost last? That's an interesting question. Best record, man, this one could be tough because there's a lot of really good teams. I'm trying to think about people's schedules that I would see. I'm going to be boring here. I'm going Cowboys with the best record, and team to get their first loss last. Give me the Pittsburgh Steelers. I like Pittsburgh. I like what Penguins doing over there. I think Penguins will lose his first game last. I think the Cowboys have the best record. What's your pick?
It's interesting. I would say obviously I didn't really do my homework on this because I didn't anticipate answering my own question, but I'm going to say best record I'm going with is the Niners. Actually, I'm gonna take that back. I'm gonna go best record. Best record. I'm gonna go with the shock here. I'm gonna go with the Bengals.
Oh, I see it.
And I'm gonna go with the Niners to lose last.
Yep, I think those are both fair picks. Logan says, which team did not make the playoffs last season will make it this season? Logan, I think we've already mentioned a few teams. I'm going to go back to my bold prediction, which was Jets, Steelers, Titans all make the playoffs. And pause to make sure. Yep, neither of those teams made the playoffs. What about you? Any teams you think for sure are a shoe into the playoffs?
Which team did not make the playoffs that will make the playoffs? Okay, which team did not make the playoffs? That's I don't even remember who made the playoffs last year. I feel like it was so long ago.
Here, I can read them off to you really fast. It's going to be, I got it right here. It's going to be Browns, Nipples, and the Ravens, Bills, Broncos. I don't know why I have to say Nipples and the Ravens, but I always think Nipples first before I think Ravens. Raiders, Jags, Dolphins. That's AFC. Seahawks, Panthers, Falcons, Bucks, Bears, Giants, Cowboys, NFC.
The teams that did not make the playoffs, I think will make the playoffs this year. I'm going to say Cardinals, Steelers, Titans, and I'll say those three teams: Titans, Steelers, Cardinals, and I feel like there's another team. Oh, and then Giants.
What's that?
I'll say those are the four teams that I think make the playoffs that did not make the playoffs last year.
You know a team neither one of us said? Because we don't think of it this way? 49ers. Neither one of us said the 49ers. We both agree the 49ers are going to be a shoe-in. So you said the 49ers are going to lose last, and I think they're going to win their division. So, I think it's just funny. Neither one of us named the 49ers. Big Heart, thanks for jumping in here with me. Maniac, I hope you enjoyed time with Dad watching the game. I don't even know who won. Maybe you could tell me who won that game.
You don't want to know who won the game. Okay, that was a brutal Monday night game.
Oh, it was close last time I checked it. It was a close game. But listen, I'm a Saints fan.
It was the Joe Mixon show.
Yeah, my Saints have been pretty terrible. Nephi, day has been going okay, bud. I'm dead tired, though, and I got to get to bed because I actually got to go to the office tomorrow. I don't get to just walk here into my office. Thank you, Big Hurt, for jumping in with me. I was checking up there because I forgot to turn my lights on up there. Anyway, thank you, Big Hurt, for jumping in with me. Maniac, you should have jumped in, but I hope you enjoyed time with Dad. D-Wayne, I haven't heard from you, so I'm going to assume that you're at work or you're just enjoying Cowboys Monday night, but I hope that you're safe and well. Big Heart, give me one final thought as we wrap things up here, bud.
Just keep playing games, scheduling. Let's get through season 2, have some fun with this. I do want to touch base, as we get into season 2 and 3 and kind of turn the corner. One thing that you mentioned that I really liked was the FPR stance that you took. If you can make it right if you make a mistake but you make it right, it's not going to penalize you for your incentives. I really like that stance that the board took, and that kind of opens up the door for you to just be a genuine, honest person. We're going to make mistakes. We're not always going to be perfect, but when you realize you did it, sometimes it's not it's hard to say sorry and then like that person to be like, oh, okay, it's good, we're good, move forward. When you actually take control of that in the game, it definitely goes a lot further. And so I like that stance that the board threw that out there. And I just noticed that. I just hope that everybody kind of realizes that everybody is human and we're going to make mistakes in the heat of the moment, and just kind of think about that before you just go off the wall and start, submitting FPR and all that.
Yep. Listen, Shiloh and I talked. He broke a pretty bad FPR in my game, and maybe if I would have lost that game, I would have reported him. But I didn't lose, and I didn't want to ruin the guy's incentives after 1 week. I think Shiloh's a good dude, and he just whiffed and missed on a pretty bad FPR. It was like 78% zone coverage with one-man defense called in the second half, and it was when I was kneeling the ball out. So clearly that's a really bad FPR and one that is like really important here in the OMFL. But look, I just didn't turn it in. I just sent him the feedback and was like, you got to change it. I'm not going to turn you in to pop you. I know not everybody feels that way. I've seen some things happen a couple of seasons ago where guys started to be really petty, and like every little comma that was missed, they were getting turned in to sort of prove a point. I would say the same thing. Like, let's just try not to ruin people's incentives. Now, listen, if they can't pay it back, they can't make it right, they beat you, I get it. Just sort of try to think about the bigger picture. And I get some guys here just don't care for one another because they've had bad interactions over. I noticed the other day, like a lot of us have been together like 10 seasons. We're talking like 6, 7 Maddens together. And so sometimes you just get personalities and people that just don't love each other. So it is what it is. My final note is like, let's just enjoy the season, man. I pumped up quarterback accuracy on purpose. I do think it's going to have to come down just a hair. It's at 45 right now, I think is where it is. I think it's probably going to settle at 43. We're going to wait a little bit longer. Going to keep an eye on sacks as well. We may lower pass block just a little bit. We're going to see, though. We're going to give it a couple more weeks, keep playing out. The stats are really bad for season 1. We're pumping it up a little bit to see how we can get there and kind of have more balanced stats. So, Big Hurt, I appreciate you. Thanks for jumping in with me. Thanks. Sorry, everybody. I had some technical issues, but I appreciate you fighting through it with me. I'm going to go get my old self to bed because it's like an hour past my normal bedtime, so I got to get myself to bed. For Big Hurt, for all the board here, for all the guys, I appreciate you. Pleased with the long-term injuries. Logan, there's nothing I can do about long-term injuries. There's no long-term injury slider. There's just an injury slider, and I think it's actually in a good place, and it's supposed to be. We're supposed to have injuries. Real life Saints have like 25 people on the injury list this entire season. Injuries are supposed to rob you of a season from time to time. It happens. We'll keep an eye on it, though. And if it gets bad, we'll do something. But so far, it hasn't been bad. We've got one, 2, 3, 4, 5 injuries all season after all the games are played. Sorry, this is not bad enough. It's right where it should be. All right, guys, I got to get out of here. Big Hurt, I appreciate you, dude. Thank you again. I'm hoping, though, bring back, what was the show called? Now I'm drawing a blank. It's too late at night. It's midnight. What was your show called?
Down a Distance.
Down a Distance. Bring back Down a Distance. I love a second show. It gives me something to listen to that isn't me, because I'm not going to go back and listen to me. Guys, I got to get to bed. I love you. Take care of yourselves. Take care of those around you. Remember that you matter. I'll see you on the next one, which is tomorrow. Saints-Panthers. A big matchup. Come watch it. See you then. Bye.
Smash that like and subscribe.